Explaining the interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, small law firm in central Minnesota. Here I am. Here I am at a hotel. So on the way to the big interview, right? With Tim Pool. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But am I alive? Yes, I am alive. So Coldfade 2A wannabe Hunan Muhammad says late as a pregnant rabbit. So look, this is a chill chat, right? Like I'm at a hotel, getting on a plane tomorrow, and been driving for a little bit, so I figured I'd pop up on YouTube for a little bit before I go to bed, and then we'll see what happens, you know. So let's see. Charles Iron says, I was just thinking about you. I will try and keep up with the chats as they come in tonight. I'm on my phone, so you know, however that works out. I will do my best to keep up with it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, what's Jillian Seeds has always be grifting. I want to talk a little bit about what's coming in the next week. Memes Redacted says Flufferboy 2004. What's coming up for the week, what's coming up for the channel, and you know, all this stuff. Plus, I guess we should talk a little bit about a certain truck of peace, right, in Wisconsin. Lots of folks injured up in Wisconsin, and that's going to be, you know, that's an issue. They got to figure out what actually happened, why it happened, who did it. They're not really talking too much about who did it, but you know, that's it's kind of a problem when a bunch of people get run over. So they may fix that. Roy Merluno says sleep on the plane. Oh, and you ever gonna do anything with Razor Fist again? You two were a hoot the last time you were together. Would love to. I'm very big fan of Razor Fist. I like talking to that guy. He's smart and he's funny. So yeah, I'd love to have him on. Maybe we can arrange something soon. Jordan Jones says, are you prepared for Ian when you interview with Tim Pool? That dude is interesting. No. I'll say it right now. I've never watched an episode of Timcast. I don't have any problem with the show, obviously. I'm going on it, so I don't seem to have a problem with it. I just I've never actually watched it, so I don't even know I know it's an interview format, but I don't know the dynamics of anybody in the room. It'll be interesting to me. It'll be kind of a fresh experience. Gogger's Death Rattle says, you following the massacre in Wisconsin? A little bit. I've been driving for the past couple hours. Surprise Mechanic says, Daryl Brooks says, a music video, murder vehicle in the video, math boy fly, hawk a ticket. Okay. I will say someone emailed me with pictures from someone emailed me with pictures of the event, and they emailed me again with more pictures of the alleged perpetrator of the car crash, right? And it was a picture of Sam Hyde, and I think they genuinely thought that was a, you know, potentially a real picture, but that was pretty funny. Coldface says, what? Tim didn't offer to shack you up in his chicken coop? Rude. I'm not there yet. I'm still in Minneapolis. Fox Chase Racing says $500 for every facial abuse mention on Tim Pool. Well, you better be watching then, buddy. We'll see what happens. GR People says, who has the worst username, Flufferboy 2004 or SVU guy Mathboy Fly? Flufferboy. Don't give Binger any slack just because someone else did it bad. MB Blake says, great work on the Rittenhouse trial. Me watching your channel's coverage made my wife a fan of your channel. Hey, cool. We can fix that at some point, I'm sure. Just kidding. Just kidding. Very much appreciate the company on these streams, and the interest in those streams is what I'm going to get to as we talk about this coming week and what's in the future. Cynic in Chief says, I know a guy who's a professional expert court witness on school safety. Do you want to interview him about the process? Maybe. Cynic, send me some information about him. I'm happy to talk to different people, and yeah, I guess to kind of preview what's coming for discussing the upcoming shows is I will be starting on Wednesday, adding a daytime show. I'm not quite sure of the time yet. I have to kind of work it out. I have to look. The hardest thing about live streams, or live streaming as your chosen medium, right? Like, I'm not uploading videos, I'm live streaming primarily. The hardest thing about doing that is you don't want to step on anybody's toes or like mess with their schedules. So I'm trying to work it out. Look, I'm gonna add a live stream during the day, and I assume most people know that I'm not trying to step on their game in any way, but live streams are literal competition, whereas the rest of YouTube is not. I mean, if two people upload videos on the same day, it doesn't matter, right? They could even upload them at the exact same time. You watch one, you watch the other. But when you have live content, it's a little bit different, right? Because you have to choose to be engaged in the live content, which means you have to choose not to be engaged in other live content. Sure, you can go back and watch the video on demand, but it's not the same. It's not the same. So I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I'm going to be putting out a live show during the day. I want it to be the best show that it can be. And that show is going to be open to the law panel that we've built, as well as incorporating other lawyers and other subject matter commentators and experts that are relevant. Over the past couple weeks, I've made some very interesting contacts with people, and the exposure of the show opens some doors to people who might have otherwise not known what we do, right? And so I'll be hoping to grab some people for interviews and across a broad range of legal focused subjects. The night shows, if you're new here, the night shows tend to be a little bit rowdier, a little bit less focused maybe on law. They might have more culture stuff. They might have more jokes and memes and stuff like that. That's going to stay pretty much how it is. That's the show that I do. But the daytime show is going to be a little bit more focused on legal issues specifically, and incorporating other people into the show who want to be on, right? I'm not dragging people to it, but either through interviews or through collaboration. And when we find trials that are televised that we can cover and talk about, I'll be exploring the option of doing those. I can't always do 3 weeks of 8-hour days straight. My wife would kill me, I think, if I did that all the time. But we'll be looking for opportunities to cover these trials. And not every trial's 3 weeks long. Some trials are a couple days. The Robbery trial wrapped up in 1 week pretty much, I think. And maybe it was 2 weeks. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Some trials are as short as a couple hours. Other trials take Ghislaine Maxwell's, let's be honest. Her trial is slated for 6 weeks. So we'll see. And yes, a lot of people are asking me, will I cover her trial? We're going to see what extent I'm able to, because apparently no cameras in the courtroom. It's going to make the type of coverage we did for Rittenhouse really hard to replicate for her. So it'd be, we'll be sourcing stuff in. But I'm also still working on a lot of stuff from the Rittenhouse case. My editor is clipping out the various segments, the testimony. Right now, I believe he's working on the Kyle Rittenhouse testimony itself, and with our commentary included, and that will be uploaded. I think I'll have that up tomorrow, maybe. It depends on my ability to actually do this stuff on a phone, because I don't have a computer with me on this trip. So getting that stuff taken care of, but we're going to have his testimony, Gage Groskowitz, Richie McGinnis, those for sure, because I think those are the really pivotal testimonies in the case. I've got some of the closing arguments. I think I've got the prosecutions ready to upload, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm also working on interviews from the Rittenhouse case still to do, the live interview style. If they're comfortable, if they want to do pre-recorded, we'll do pre-recorded. But trying to get some people like John Black on, maybe some people from the defense team would be great. I don't think Binger or Kraus are going to comment on it. They said that they would not be commenting post-trial. So I'm not really interested in reaching out to them. I also might not be able to refrain from calling them scum of the earth. It's a weakness. It's a weakness I have. Dixie Rex says, Math Boy Fly has the hardest drive I've seen today. The Buzz CJC says, video of truck of peace from overhead building on Instagram. Yeah, I saw the video on Andy No's Twitter page. 200 Watt Studio says, please mention Binger Stinger on Tim Pool. Thomas Payne says, DUI laws. Believe the severity of zero tolerance of the nature. Poor always suffer harder. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, too much power, always take an Uber kids. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, yes, too much power and influence. They also stray outside of their lane sometimes, which that's what I thought they were against. But really, doesn't matter how much power they have, always take an Uber. I don't believe in zero tolerance. It's a tough thing to balance liberty with the extreme danger that drunk driving brings. Zero tolerance, I don't believe, but it's a sticky subject, man. I don't drink and drive, and I'm strongly opposed to it. Seth Kaiser says, are you going to cover Kim Potter? Yes. Taser is apparently going to be televised. I didn't think it was originally, but it turns out I believe there will be cameras in the courtroom. So that is on the list of trials I want to actually cover the full trial for. That's got a lot of interesting avenues to it, right? Because it's I think they've charged her with intentional homicide, even though it kind of looks like a negligent homicide. They're going to go off of some theory that she was intending to cause the harm, the underlying harm. And so therefore, since she intended to cause the underlying harm, it transfers into an intentional homicide, I think. Or maybe they're going to go with second degree like they did with Chauvin, where it's a commission of an underlying felony. But she also probably would have been justified just pulling out her gun and shooting the guy who said gun, 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 and blasted him. The fact that she said taser doesn't nullify her appropriate use of force. So the question is, was it an appropriate use of force? Was it not? These are going to be big questions in that case, and I definitely want to follow the Kim Potter case to the fullest. J.D. Pennington says, the judge stated the motion of the defense is granted and the case is dismissed with prejudice. Does that mean he did grant the mistrial as well? No. That's a confusing aspect. So the jury renders a verdict, okay? The jury, they decide, they render a verdict, and then that verdict has to go to the judge. The judge has to formalize that and reduce it into a judgment and then an order. So in this case, the jury has rendered their verdict. The verdict is not guilty on all counts. Therefore, the defense moves to have the charges against the client dismissed as an order from the court and judgment, a judgment in favor of Kyle Rittenhouse. So that's the motion they were talking about. Just the motion to render the judgment and verdict, or the judgment and order in favor of Kyle. It was not addressing the other orders. Those are probably moot at this point. I guess they may technically still be outstanding, but likely just mooted anyway and will not be addressed by the court. And I'll talk about that in a minute because this came up in my Discord chat, so it's kind of interesting. Jeff Patriot, thanks for the sticker. Arsuninvi says, amazing job with Eric July, bravo. Yes, that was a great interview. I want to do more discussions with Eric July. I want to bring him on this channel and talk about liberty with him, so look for that soon. Eric July, young Ripa, same guy, but he's a good dude and has some, I think he and I probably share a lot of libertarian leanings, and people seem to like him. So I definitely want to talk to him more about that, get some more perspectives on the natures of liberty and freedom. I love those types of interviews, and I think he'll be a good one. Cynic in Chief says, "What's the best way to contact you about guests and stuff?" I guess probably by email. Ricada.org. But make sure you reference like what you're sending me about, and that we've had this discussion. HBO Matt says Ricada is trying to compete with The View. Oh God, no. I want to provide entertainment that doesn't compete with The View, but just absolutely destroys it. Bishop Craig says, from a dad, don't watch the vids unless you have to. Yeah, it was hard to watch even from the far away thing. I don't know what other videos there are, but it was a mess. Macca Jr. says, when is Legally Blonde doing feet pics? Also, Legal Mindset looks like a sports commentator. Favorite lawyer guest is definitely Good Logic. Well, no one's perfect. Just kidding. Mike Hunt says, if a 17-year-old boy said he wanted to go out in a riot and defend a car dealership with a weapon, what would you tell him? Don't. Simple answer. Don't do it. Look what happened to Kyle. I mean, he barely survived that night. And then he spent the next year of his life fighting to save the rest of his life. And the amount of damage done to him by the media it's irreparable. I mean, that'll carry with him for a very long time, no matter what happens next. So you can't, it's very unfortunate. I would tell him, don't do it. Robert Armstrong says, do you think the prosecution did so poorly in this case because they're secret masochists? No, they just had a case that was against them. They just had a case that was against them. Yethna P says, please don't leash your humor on Timcast. I will, it's not about leashing humor. It's about, is there an opportunity for a joke? If there is, I'm gonna take it. Let's be honest. I mean, let's be honest. I'm gonna tell the joke if a joke comes to me. That's who I am. It's a failing, I'm sure, for some people. But why change? Alex Scott Thompson says, can we officially be called the Grift Gang? Yes. But every time you use it, you have to send me $1. Just kidding. It's a joke. Allotrope says, because it'd be $5. Allotrope says the victims of alleged crime should be banned from the courtroom. They're the most biased people imaginable. Their presence undermines justice itself. I mean, I get it, but almost every state has victims' rights laws that would run afoul of. Airchunk says, how much to talk like Richards? I'm in a hotel. I don't know how thin the walls are. There's probably someone like right there on the other side of this wall that hates me, but Your Honor, wait, on Timcast or whatever? There, Tim Pool. I'm here in the compound, and you got chickens, and you got guitars, pretty substantial. I hear you got a skateboard, so I brought a helmet, not because I'm going to skateboard, but because I want to save my last skateboard. It was swung at someone I know. Greg McCormick says, sent you an email with Daryl Brooks video clip. Okay. Salt Ace says, the new audience needs to know, balls or no balls, always balls. Always balls. The Pale Hammer says, I'm disappointed Wisconsin is not a death sentence state. The individuals who perpetrated the vehicular attack in Waukesha are an evil individual who deserve no less than death for their crimes. I'm surprised no one in the crowd killed him, frankly. Eric the Red says, don't be afraid to ask Tim the Futanari question. He loves that kind of thing. And to the mods, I can't, I don't think I can pin the comments from this phone. Ace of Spades says, Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty. He said that he knew CPR, but he didn't do anything to provide help to the prosecution, who was choking for all of 2 weeks. Have a good one, Nikki. Haven't super chatted in a while. Enjoy my shekels. I will. Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty good. What a silly line of questioning from Binger. Well, you did first aid and you didn't offer any help at all, did you? You just tried to get away. You just tried to save yourself. Yeah, what he should have done was stayed there and died so that he could, put a bandage on the bullet wounds. Sealy Star says, also clip the coroner's testimony about his hand on the gun. Great idea. Yes. Jared says, please reach out to Kraus. I don't have to reach very far. Cars in Depth says, the Waukesha SUV driver is apparently another one of those white supremacists of color, said to have been fleeing another crime scene. Very, very interesting. Zen Mountain says, thank you for your awesomeness. Just watch RFK Jr.'s interview with Tucker, RE the 1980s Polk Act. Very interesting. Hashtag unavoidably unsafe. I kind of want to talk a little bit about something Kyle allegedly said on Tucker. So we'll get to that. Mr. Bentham says you'll finally be able to verify Tim's height. Lol. Yetna says, please cover Kyle's friend trial and Kenosha girl trial. I think, you're talking Dominic Black. I think Dominic has a hearing tomorrow, and I would suspect that there's not going to be a trial of Dominic Black. I'm going to guess that hearing is gonna come with a dismissal of the charges. Automata says, take Tim's cat hostage before he can do it to you. 200 Watt Studio says, can we get a moment of silence for JoJo? Quote Mark Ruffalo. These people, Mark Ruffalo, who's the Mandalorian guy? They're out there like, oh, Anthony Huber and JoJo, little JoJo Rosie Bombs. Little JoJo Rosie Bombs and Anthony Hubies. They're just those poor little fellows who are out there heroically defending Kenosha, and now they're victims and they're dead in the ground, and such a tragic loss. It's like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? These are scumbags. Like, look, I don't want a parent to lose a kid, but these are scumbags who are doing some scumbag shit. It's not like they were walking around planting flower gardens and got, haplessly assaulted by someone. These guys were engaged in a riot with arson, a violent riot, and then they attacked someone with the intent to cause them harm. And they weren't saints before that either, right? These guys each have several victims under their belts. Rosenbaum, literally. Disgusting. Michael W. says, will Rittenhouse gun charges being dropped affect Dominic Black's trial, and will Kyle have to testify in that case? So if I'm Dominic Black's lawyer, one, I'm a public defender, so I hate my life. No offense to public defenders. You guys are amazing, but I couldn't do it. I could not do that. It's too many cases, and it's that is too much stress for me to deal with. My hats go off. Lots of people make fun of public defenders. I do not. My hat goes off to them. The problem with public defenders is not really their competence. I mean, there are going to be incompetent ones, and there are going to be competent ones, like in anything. But the main thing with public defenders is their caseload and their limited resources that they have. So all of that tips in favor of the state. And that's the danger of public defender. It's not that they're not going to provide you quality representation, good work. It's that the numbers are stacked against them so much that they may not actually have the time to do things that other cases would have, right? Like Richards talks about mock juries and all this stuff. You got a public defender, you're not getting mock juries, right? You're not getting that kind of resource. So I don't know what kind of public defender Dominic Black has. I don't know if he has a good one, a bad one. I don't know how much he's paying attention to Kyle's case. But if I'm that guy, I have already, at this point, filed a motion to dismiss all the charges based on Judge Schrader's ruling that Kyle was not in violation of the statute. The statute is worded the same for Dominic Black that it is for Kyle on the elements of the crime. So in this case, Kyle Rittenhouse, is he under 18? Yes, 17 at the time. However, is he in possession of a long barrel rifle? Yes. Well, if that's the case, he's out of the statute. 17-year-old with a long barrel rifle, just fine. Dominic Black, giving him the long barrel rifle isn't a crime. And that's that. That's how it's worded. I checked it the other day. I was like, oh, I was surprised because I thought it was maybe there was a separate statute or something or some extra wording. Nope. So I would have already filed that motion for dismissal because I believe that case is before Judge Schrader as well, and it should be dropped. Same ruling, same reasoning that happened in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and you can just cite directly to the record that they have. So if he does have a hearing tomorrow, which I think he does, but if he does have that, that's what I would be doing at that hearing. Dapper Wolf says, Fuda Girl on non-Fuda Girl is fine, but Fuda on boy is gay. Nose versus Beanie this Monday on pay-per-view. Actually, I think it's free on YouTube. Cody Yeager says, damn, drunks against mad mothers. I bought concealed carry insurance because there are too many bingers out there. I'm concerned about our future. You should be. Bloody Blah says, if a jury returns a not guilty verdict, can a judge rule differently? Nope. I.e. not issues the with prejudice as he did in this instance? Nope. That's a jury decision of acquittal is basically untouchable. You can always try and challenge something, but pretty much it's going to be untouchable. Jillian Seed says, Rittenhouse is a modern day Alfred Dreyfus. Mystic Bazuso says, Nick, please make your lawyer friends watch the Chris Chan documentary. Irish Pug, thanks for the donation. Let's see. Monkey Man 04 says, what happened to Kyle reminds me of Richard Jewell. Jewell got railroaded by the press and the FBI. Yes, he did. Bloody Blah says, Kyle is going to have a hard time working in the medical field. Remember the dentist that got canceled and shut down for going on a legal hunt? Yeah, well, what about the EMT who got fired for donating to Kyle's fund? I mean, that should tell you he's going to have problems getting into colleges. Like some people have said he should be a defense lawyer. Like that would be pretty funny, but he's got to get into undergrad, graduate, and then he's got to get accepted into a law school. And I'll tell you, law schools are run by the left. The majority of their staff are on the left. Their admissions people probably on the left. Their administrative staff probably on the left. Like, you may want to get into law school, but you may not be able to. As a Kyle Rittenhouse, they can just look at his application and say, no, we won't have him. Biggest Dickus says, Nick, Victoria Juliet is finally home from NICU. Thank you for the shout out. And to clarify, I was watching the day 4 verdict stream during labor. Awesome. Congrats, buddy. Enjoy it. Kids are such a blessing. And labor is not. So I'm glad you spent it wisely watching the stream rather than look. And I'm not even joking. Don't do that. Don't sit there during labor and not watch TV or whatever. Mike Keeney says, I can't believe you fell for the name Mike Hunt. No, I know. Phantom Boomer, thank you for the donation. Elian says, as Richards, the prosecutor's wreaking havoc on the roof, Your Honor. Next, we've got Dash says, what are the grounds that Grosskreutz Champlin was asking for 10 mil on? Don't really follow logic, even if his version of Kenosha was true. It was that the police had a duty to protect, and because they failed that duty, it caused him irreparable injury. I mean, that's the basic theory as far as I understand it. It's a thin theory. The theory was a politically expedient settlement would pay him out, several $100,000 to maybe $1 million to $2 million, and that the city could make a gesture of goodwill towards the Black Lives Matter community or something by giving Gage a bunch of money. And even better, if they work into the settlement that he gets $2.5 million, but donates 250,000 of it to Black Lives Matter or something. You do some bullshit like that. That's the idea. It's the philosophy of fleecing a government that has politicians that are motivated to make a statement through taxpayer money. Greg Marquez says, Nick, I can't find an answer on this anywhere. Why would the FBI be involved with a stolen diary? Wouldn't that be state or local, Project Veritas? Depends if the diary crossed state lines. Depends if they were to. Now, I don't think Project Veritas did this, but if they solicited the purchase of the diary over state lines, if that type of stuff, if they are alleged to be involved in the theft or illegal procurement of the diary, and they used internet communications to do so, even if it's within the state, that could be under the federal arm. It also does involve a relative of the president of the United States, allegedly, and if that's the case, then that could just be in the purview of the federal government from that. So Air Chunk says, please have some chips and dip on me. That was hilarious. I'd pay for Richard Sessions. Thank you. Christopher W. Black, with a big donation. Thank you so much. Says, thanks again for creating a whole new way to watch trials. God bless you and your family this Thanksgiving, and you and yours as well, Chris. So thank you so much for contributing to the show. You guys make this possible, right? Like, I mean, I'd still be sitting here talking if there was, only a few people and no super chats or anything, but you make it a lot more doable and give me the time to not do other things when you support the show. So I really appreciate that. Mike Hunt says, I hate the balls or no balls question because it's not balls or no balls. It's sausage balls taco, sausage and taco, or just sausage and balls on Fuda. Gross. But sausage balls taco. I mean, otherwise it's not really Fuda. It's just let's see. Next. Sorry. Hazel Eyes says, here's my monthly fee. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Pinky says, don't misgender Tim's dog. How many animals does this man have? He's got a dog. He's got chickens. What else? Is there a cat that he stole or whatever? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Adam Krigler, informed me that the cat thing was completely bogus. Jehovah's Thickness. Great name. It says Rosenbaum was a father of 5. Google Joseph Rosenbaum, 5 kids to learn more. Did you guys see that Reddit post? Did you guys see that alleged Reddit post? I can't pull it up because I can't do that, but I could read it. I think I've got it on my... my Discord messages. The Reddit post about Joseph Rosenbaum is... Fuck. I don't know if I have verify by CAPTCHA. I'm not a robot. I'm on a phone. Fuck me. I might not be able to look at this. Let me see. I think I have it somewhere else. I thought I had Discord open on this phone. I got a new phone not too long ago. And I apparently haven't logged into Discord on it yet. So just a minute. Oh, here we go. I have to go to 4chan to find Reddit, the Reddit post. Jesus. Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. Spit Cobra says, thank you and everyone that helped you to cover the Rittenhouse trials. Shut up and take my money. Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. Jiffy the Magic Elf says, here's some dollars. Here's some dollars for annoying your hotel neighbors for our benefit and entertainment. Healthy Fiesta says state lines crossed. Yeah, once I land in DC, I'm sure I'm going to be arrested for crossing state lines. Very dangerous to do these days. Wizard's First Rule 57 says, do you think Rosenbaum victims sent Kyle a gift basket? I hope so. I hope they also sent, like hand grenades to the funeral. Just kidding. What are you supposed to do as a victim of that horrific crime when the person dies? Because, you kind of want to, forgive them for yourself. Not for them, but for your own purposes of moving on. And I'm sure a lot of them had kind of worked their way through the bulk of their emotions and feelings about it. But then the Band-Aid gets ripped off, right? When he's dead. And he's all over the news, and Mark Ruffalo and the Mandalorian guy are sucking him off. And you got to be just fucking furious Seth Kaiser says Tucker Carlson will interview Kyle Rittenhouse on Fox tomorrow night at 6 Central Time. I thought he already did. Or maybe he gave some comments or something, but not the full interview. I saw headlines about what he said on Tucker. Joshua Sanabria says, you should see about getting on Elijah Schaefer's show at the Blaze TV. Think you'd both get a kick out of each other. I'll email him with a suggestion. I'd love to. Love to. Mr. Scott J87 says, there once was a witness called Gage who testified and went off the page. His bicep was shot. His testimony was havoc. We hope he ends up in a cage. Unfortunately, they're not going to prosecute Gage ever. Blue-eyed Roof Korean the base says, Nick trapped in a gas station bathroom in rural Virginia. Medic Pack says, so Kyle's in Florida and might be staying there for the long haul. Good for laying low. Maybe you should start a sitcom with Richards and the judge. And he's got to get out of Wisconsin. He's not safe in Wisconsin. And I would say, yeah, retreat to some red area. But what I saw about Kyle's interview was that what I saw, he allegedly told Tucker that that he's not racist and he supports BLM. And if that's what he's going on Tucker to say, I mean, then I would say that to me his appearance is a mistake. Not that he should say he is racist or even talk about BLM, but that shouldn't be the questioning. That shouldn't have anything to do with what he's there to talk about, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion, if I'm Tucker, I'm asking questions about Kyle and about going forward and about processing through this issue. But of course, I have different interests, right? So that's what I'm asking about. I'm not trying to elicit information about him appearing to pander or anything to BLM. I mean, they won't take it. They're not going to accept that. So don't give it to them. 200 Watt Studio says, people keep saying, what do their records have to do with that night? They were criminals. That's their mindset. They were looking for trouble. Even just beyond that, it doesn't have to have anything to do with that night for them to not be saints, for them to not be like they're just being hailed as these good heroes. And there's no evidence of heroic acts. Joe Blow says, Tim has a fully stocked bar at the compound. I will super chat you 100 if you hand him a bottle of Rittenhouse Rye at the beginning of the show. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Matthew Asmar says, as a 1L law student, I am in utter shock at how many of my classmates think this is a wrong verdict. Keep up the good work. Look, buddy, you're going to learn very quickly. At least I did. When I got to law school and I started talking to people and hearing them, I mean, you come across a couple sensible people, but then you realize, oh God, I thought getting into law school meant that like I accomplished something. And I now realize I actually feel worse about getting in now. After talking to a few people, it's like, ooh, Coke Boy 53 says, will you be covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial? She's evidently pleaded not guilty to all charges with her connection to Epstein. I feel it's a major case, but it's not getting a lot of attention. It's going to be hard to cover. Talked about it earlier. Allegedly no cameras in the courtroom, which means it's all going to be filtered through some media source. Rael says, if I were Kyle, I would drop Dominic as a friend. I understand he was doing it for a plea, but at the cost of me going to prison for my entire life. Bye. I think Dominic's getting a bad rap on that. When I saw his testimony, and I believe I said this on a couple of the streams, I felt like he was saying what he needed to say to try and make a record for himself, but he was giving a lot of good things for the defense about how dangerous the night was, about how how everybody was on edge, how he was scared. I did not really see Dominic as testifying against Kyle as much. I thought he kind of looked like Kyle's friend. But I don't know. That's just kind of the impression that I got. He was in a rough spot. His case, Barnes said, that's why you get a joint representation agreement, and Kyle should have paid in some way for Dominic's defense with some of the GoFundMe money or something like that. Or not GoFundMe, but the fundraising money. They should have gotten that because it's more valuable to cover Dominic's defense and have him incorporated into your strategy rather than having the state leverage him against you, in my opinion. Teldrig says, I regret to inform you that your voice sounds disturbingly similar to Hassan Piker. Well, it's as far as the things that Hassan believes, right? His voice, there's enough of his voice to just go around. So I get my own piece of it. He does not have a right to his own voice. That's the community's voice. And so I'm using it. That's why. Sonny Gonzalez says, Con Sluts Unite. Thank God Kyle is free at last. Thank you, Boomer, for everything. Hey, thank you. How you doing, Sonny? Mandy Karavickas says, could you sing a bar from You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch, in your lowest tone of voice? No. In my lowest tone of voice, I don't know if I could carry a tune. Leah Something says, now that we've seen the weekend of the media defame Kyle after the verdict, what are the chances of a defamation lawsuit? T wants to know. There's a possibility, but it's gonna be a tough road. Wasn't I already talking about this, or was that on Discord? I no longer know. It's gonna be a tough road for him, a very uphill fight to get a defamation suit against anyone. He was criminally charged. It was a massive public news story, and people get to make, it doesn't seem fair, but they get to formulate their opinions about him based on those reports, especially when those reports are contained in the criminal complaint. Now, if they go off script from the criminal complaint, there's an avenue at that point to go after those statements and those people who made them. However, there's also the possibility they could argue that he's defamation proof because of how much has been said about him and how his reputation is already destroyed by the actual complaint, by the charges. So it's a tough road. But again, I'll say it. Just because there's a low prospect of winning does not mean there's not value in fighting. And I think there are lots of defamation suits out there that might not be guaranteed wins, but in the culture we're in, if you can cognize the claim and bring the claim reasonably, then sometimes the fight is worth it, even if it's a losing fight. Either for rehabilitating your personal reputation, asserting your innocence, going after people who have lied about you, even if you don't win, but the court says you didn't win because you're a public figure and people are allowed to lie about you. Well, that's kind of a nice thing to have, even if it costs a bunch of money. So it also can endear you to people. It can be a fundraising vehicle. So there's a lot of uses for it, but you have to have a legally cognizable claim that you can plausibly state, even if you're not going to win. And hell, maybe you do win. But it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of money, and a lot of time. RDJKR says, would you cover the Patrick Crusius case, the El Paso Walmart shooter? Maybe. I wasn't aware of it. Lose Tooth says he's got to learn to grift. Recato Law intern Kyle Bullseye Rittenhouse. I would love to. Gabe the Dizzle says, would like to discuss current events from perspective of abuse survivor. Curious your thoughts on gaslighting and Darvo, DARVO, domestic abuse something by prosecution, media, and state. I have a lot of thoughts on it. That's a long discussion. Maybe send me an email on that one, and we can, that might have to be more focused. I don't know if I can do that off the cuff here. Tyler Ventura says, learned so much these past 2 weeks watching you guys. Never heard of you until this trial. I became so emotionally invested in the outcome, and it felt like I had a good group to watch with every day. Hey, me too. MD says, call front desk as Richards. Call them, Your Honor. I'm looking for ice. In Wisconsin, it's hard to find ice in the summertime. It gets kind of warm. And come on, bring me some ice. Bring some ice. Tails DM says, good day from Australia. Watched all the Rittenhouse streams. Could Kyle apply to have his case sealed as he was a minor at the time he was charged, even if acquitted? No, because he was tried as an adult for adult crimes, and he was an adult when he was tried. So No, probably not. Blaine 20 says if Tim pulls out a banjo, run. Bad Guacamole says legal chicken sucks. Has Legal Eagle put out a video on Kyle yet? I can't wait for his explanation of how the judge got it wrong, how the jury got it wrong, how the prosecution was correct. Catherine Kennel says Mercerl was convicted involuntary manslaughter, mistaking his gun for a taser. Isn't it the same-ish scenario? Maybe, but I don't know if that person, I don't know who Miss Earl is. I don't know if they had the same justification that Kim Potter has. Michael W. says, how does the not guilty verdict affect the victim's family civil suits against Kyle? It makes them a little harder, but they have a lower burden in those cases. So they still could bring them. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, they already brought suit against Kyle and then dropped it. So I'm not sure. Jordan Ratanavong says, any advice on getting into law school with a criminal record? Drug charges about 4 years ago, no trouble since, high GPA and LSAT. That shouldn't be a problem for you, honestly. As long as you disclose it to the law school, you're going to have to disclose your criminal record anyway. But here, same advice to anyone trying to get into law school under any circumstance, criminal drug convictions or not. Call the admissions office of the school. Tell them what you want to do. Tell them about your past and say, hey, is this going to be a problem for me? Because I really want to go to law school. This was in my past. And when you fill out your application, you have a personal statement. In that personal statement, you're going to tell that story. You're going to tell how it framed maybe your opinions and how you wanted to get into law school because of your encounter with the criminal justice system. Maybe you thought there was an injustice in your case. Maybe you thought it was just. Maybe it inspired you to help other people in similar situations. Maybe you see the rehabilitative efforts of it. That's going to come in your personal statement. But first, call the admissions office. Ask for an interview with someone from the admissions staff. Dress nice and go do an interview with them. Talk about the school. They're going to put a name to a face. They're going to start learning your story. And then when they see your story in the big stack of admissions documents that they get, they go, hey, I know this guy. Yeah, he had a drug conviction. It was bogus, and he didn't have a lawyer, and he was forced into a bad plea deal that made him interested in criminal justice. Yeah, that guy was cool. What was his name? And then you have suddenly a leg up over everybody else. But lawyers, as long as your crime is not a crime of dishonesty, they tend to have a very strong prospect of careers after crime. Gunblade Knight says, is the Ghislaine Maxwell case being broadcast anywhere? Is that one you could or would cover? My understanding is no. I would cover it, but I don't think there's going to be a broadcast. Philippe Brevard says, any chance federal trials ever go live that bring transparency? By the way, here in Canada, there's nothing public other than Albert sitting in the room. I think they should go live. I believe that the transparency is critical to justice in all systems. I think we saw with Kyle, right? We saw the difference between what was reported by just the media and what you could see with your own eyes by watching the trial, and the fact that the media, who's often in bed with the state, controlled that narrative other than places like YouTube is terrifying. Just look at everybody talking about this case. Anybody who watched it feels like they're in a different world, different bizarro planet. Aneki says, Ricardo, what is your take on how dishonest the mainstream media is? Just taking the Rittenhouse case into consideration. I just gave it to you. They're purveyors of narrative, not of news. Professor Chaos says, Dominic Black will get convicted because the sole purpose of public defenders is to streamline convictions for the government. I think he is a public defender, but I don't know that. Let's see. Okay. I got some on the fly information that Dominic does not have a public defender. So I don't know where the public defender information that I had came from. So I have been corrected on that. So thank you for sending me that correction. I'm happy to put that out there. So that's very promising because again, not a slight to public defenders, but when you have a complicated case or you need you have novel legal theories or have to follow up to date decisions that are happening, you might want someone who just a public defender might not have the time to do it, and they might have the time to do it. But if you're hiring someone, they have a duty and an obligation to do that, and you can say, "Hey, I'm paying you. Do this. Make it happen. Let's go." So hopefully that gets worked out. Professor Chaos, yeah, he says, but to finish, says the sole purpose of public defenders is streamline convictions for the government. Like I said, I know a couple public defenders and they do good work, so I can't fully sign off on that. I'm sure in some places and some defenders do. Again, you get bad actors in every bunch, and the problem with bad actors in criminal law on both sides of the aisle is that their actions have such tremendous consequences. Dridicos says, "Hey Nick, just curious, how far up can Kyle sue for defamation? News outlets, governors, and the POTUS?" I mean, he could sue all the way up, but I against Biden, he'd have problems. Against de Blasio, maybe. News people aren't even people, so yes, you could sue them. Andrew War Snowboard says, "Is Pink Floyd racist because of whiteface?" Yes. Tyler J. Ventura says, "Any luck getting Richards on yet? I'd actually love to see you interview Sheriff VC and ask, you wanted to cross-examine Gage, right?" Right? Yeah, I would love to. I'm working on it, but they just got done, so they might be chilling a little bit. Sarah Polotachek says, "Loved watching you guys over the last week. Do you think there is potential for a late night homeschool show from the Twin Cities with a side of Piano Mom Life and Law? Lady Rackets would need to be my first guest." Wait, so you would want to create that type of show and then invite Lady Rackets on? Look, my understanding of YouTube after doing it for 4 years is there is potential for any show. Because people might, you can't ask if, would people watch this show? Because they may not know it existed, right? Did anybody ever know of a 10 lawyer panel watching a trial live existing as a show before last week? Not really. Nothing like that I've ever seen. I was alive for OJ, and I don't think they had anything even close to something like that. So, yeah, it's I think there's potential for everything, but you got to make it, right? You can't just say, "Oh, I want to make this type of show. Will it be successful?" You'll never know until you just do it. Architectural Revenge says, "Thanks for streaming the Rittenhouse case. My 3-year-old got to learn about con law this week instead of architecture." Oh, Blaine says, "I'm interested in seeing how they prove Chris Chan committed the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. Is Granny going to testify that they knocked boots?" Maybe. They've got admissions from him, so who knows? Max Hines says, "Prove you're not a robot to the robot." Oh, the CAPTCHA? Yeah. All right, I think we're catching up then. We're getting there. Gonfall says, "Why you so cute, bro?" I don't know. I ask the same thing all the time. Mike Hunt says, "None of these people complaining about crossing state lines seem to care about the folks crossing state lines from the southern border." Again, the whole state lines thing, it's just this misnomer to try and get people to think that there's a criminal act that is otherwise innocuous. People think you can't take a gun across state lines. I mean, you can. If you can have the gun in one state and the other state, you can do that. Actually, if you could just have the gun in the state that you're entering, you can. But they're trying to build this narrative that he went to Kenosha to shoot people, right? Like that's the narrative that they want. That's why that is stuck. Bad Guacamole says he hasn't been on Tucker yet. He's on tomorrow. What? I don't know what headline I saw then that was talking about his statements to Tucker. Casey says, "Could Kyle have made the BLM comment because of his advisor telling him it'd be in his best interest?" Maybe. Vin Delano says their histories as violent men of low character lends the idea that they were aggressors. It does, and that's why the evidence is not allowed to be entered in that case, unless the door is opened by someone else, because it would lend to the idea that they were aggressors, and that in this case it was true, but it might not always be true. Van says, "Made that thug's life mean for you at Van Salt." Oh no. Oh no. Irish H says, "I've noticed that people omitting key details have irked me more than people lying about the case." Marty Lund, yeah, because if they seem to have everything down, but they just skip out on really important stuff, you kind of wonder if that's the worst lie, right? Marty Lund says, "After Kyle pulls, see if you can talk to Nux about the crazy case of spearfishing, doxing, VTubers, and swatting he got caught up in. Legal stuff about impersonation, domain squatting, and how to protect your personal info." Patrick says, "Sorry for spamming, but not sure if you saw it. The defense needs to check the metadata on their low-res version for Handbrake and encoded by property." Yeah, I mean, they could, but that's gone. Sorry to say, the allegations about the drone footage, they're gone. With the acquittal, they're done. And they would similarly be done with the mistrial without prejudice. The biggest blunder of the state's entire case was not taking that mistrial without prejudice that was proposed. State definitely should have taken that. I mean, I'm glad that they didn't, because Kyle shouldn't have been put through another trial. But if the state was serious about prosecuting him, and they seem to be, they miscalculated heavily by letting that slip. I mean, you get a free do-over to rectify your mistakes and put in your better evidence and make a better approach from your opening through your closing, not change it halfway through. That's what they should have done. They didn't. Which, again, good for Kyle, but that was a big thing. But with all of that, that whole FBI or that whole drone thing is gone. It's out. They're not going to keep pursuing it. It would really only come out if, one, the judge were to investigate it during the trial rather than have jury deliberations go on, or two, if Kyle was convicted, and then that issue would be brought up on appeal. But now it's gonna just be dropped. Kyle could personally bring an ethics complaint against Binger or Kraus or both, and then it could be raised in there. But I doubt that anything like that's coming. I think they just want to go home. Iceman 101418 says, "What do you do ethically if you know a client is guilty but they want to plead not guilty? What's your ethical obligation as a defense attorney?" Well, you don't know someone is guilty. That's the first thing. You can know that they commit a criminal act. I shouldn't say that. You can know that they did an act that could be criminal, right? But whether or not they're guilty has to be determined by a jury. So if they want to plead not guilty, what you do is you put up the best case that you can without, lying or misrepresenting the facts. So you see if you can attack the procedure, you make sure their constitutional rights are protected, and you put up the best case, and you strongly advise your client about the risks that they're taking. If they seem to have met the factual elements of the crime, you may suggest like a plea agreement. Say, hey, this might be your best outcome, but if they want to fight it, you fight it. You don't know if they're guilty, even if it seems like you do, because there might be something that comes up that you don't know, right? Like you still only have your collection of the facts, and the state is going to bring their collection of the facts, and you may find out there's something that you didn't know or your client didn't know that means that they are not guilty. So that's how you do it. Nico says, "Is Maxwell trial going to be broadcasted?" Asking for a friend for the 666th time. Just kidding. Congratulations on the recent Prius success. It was a Sentra. Please do another 24-hour stream with Drexel for the new subscribers. Blue-eyed Roof Korea in the base says, "Can a RICO case be made against BLM and Antifa?" They'd have to be made against individual chapters. Probably not. I mean, you could try, but probably not. And the prosecution's going to have no interest in doing so. Genshikin 2006 says, "Binger's pickup line, I put the STD in stud. All I need is you." Oh no. Uh, oh God. Silly little binger. Air Chunk says in Richard's voice, two mice fell in a bucket of cream. The first mouse quickly fucked around and found out. What? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Christy Goddard says, I saw someone on Twitter assert the gas station was his grandparents, but I never heard that before. Do you know that it was Kyle's grandparents? I have no idea. Kimberly Campbell says, can you give your take on the Crystal Kaiser case in Wisconsin? I just started looking at it. It looks really interesting, but I can't give an opinion on it because I've only read part of an article and some headlines. But I know that I am going to be looking into it heavily. It's very interesting. Long story short, best I can determine is this was the victim of, allegedly the victim of sex trafficking crimes, and basically plotted to kill her trafficker and assaulter, and take the car to escape, and then effectively did do that. And again, this is a high level summary because I'm not 100% on the facts here, but and then was charged with a criminal act. Look, the assaulter allegedly has video of them committing the sexual assaults against this person. And if you are sex trafficking, was she a minor also? If you are sex trafficking a minor and you have a video, and they have a video of you doing it, and then the minor kills you, not guilty to me. I'm not sure that there should ever be protection for a sex trafficker from their sex trafficking victim. That seems a little odd. Drew Roth says, if Rosenbaum wasn't supposed to have been released or was wrongfully released, do you think Kyle could have a case against the state since he started it? Maybe, but we don't have any evidence of that as far as I know. Eddie Oliver says, you know anything about the BLM shooting we had here in Austin, Texas? It was similar to the Rittenhouse case? Nope. Is that Coffey? Is that Daniel Coffey? Was that his name? I don't know anything about it. Jim Horman says, I know that I'm late saying this, but I just want to thank you for the trial coverage, not only because we got to see justice done, but also because it gave me something to listen to while I was working 12-hour night shifts. Gunblade Knight says, which do you prefer, Northeast or Spotted Cow? I have no idea what those are. Apelia Multimedia says, you saying the words World Storm Princess Rescue got me across the 100 sub mark the other night. Now I'm gunning after your 300K. Thank you and congratulations on your meteoric rise. Well, good luck. Good luck to Apelia Multimedia and their project World Storm Princess Rescue. I wish you the best. I hope you beat me in subscribers. Do it. Freddie Sauce says, legend has it, Krause was so happy the case ended before he could be put under oath that the mysterious name-changing file could be investigated that he actually grew a full head of hair. He became Rapunzel. His gut just went and straight out the top. Kidda says, Darvo, deny and reverse victim and offender. Oh, okay, gotcha. Common tactic of narcissists and sociopaths, especially during domestic violence. Kyle was provoking and attacking heroes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I wasn't familiar with the acronym, but yeah, that's what they do quite a bit. Alex Scott Thompson says, you haven't blacked out once since 300,000. You changed. CC says, legal Smeagol. Just another red shirt says, did you mean that if the media incorrectly characterizes a case long enough, they built their defense against defamation? In a way, and no, it's not right that they can do that. But in a way, it's true. Prime Aesthetic says, from the inside out, do you like current laws, miscellaneous corporations, property, the drug war, or would we be better off resetting around a new paradigm, for example, climate change or new borders? I don't see why resetting the whole system needs to be done. I'm actually okay with corporate personhood. for a lot of reasons, especially when it revolves around elections, because I think free speech trumps election finance reform and stuff like that. Also, my soapbox here, campaign finance reform inherently favors incumbent candidates to such a prejudicial degree. Why do you think they passed it? So I'm actually not a big, I don't have a big problem with that type of stuff. What I have problems with is the increasing power of the state over our individual lives and public-private partnerships that are doing state infringements on our rights without the state being involved. So therefore, they're immune from constitutional scrutiny. That's the stuff I want to get rid of. I want something akin to a common carrier classification for major social media platforms, like, I don't know how you classify it specifically, but places like Twitter and Facebook that are just massive, basically state enforced monopolies or state benefiting monopolies. They need to have a sort of common carrier restriction where they're required to carry the information of everybody. Look, if they're required to carry the speech, then they can't be said to be endorsing the speech. And we do it with telephone companies, telegram companies. We do it with shipping companies. We do it with a whole bunch of different industries where we force them to take all comers, no matter their political affiliation. And that needs to be what's going on major social media platforms. So that's what I want to see. Kadak1 says Kyle's attorney said on News Nation that he's looking into suing MSNBC and other news agencies. Okay. Which attorney was that? Because my understanding is Richards and Shirafisi are criminal defense and are not going to be his civil representation. Gone Fall says, be careful. Tim Pool is already allegedly known to trap his visitors in the basement so the agents of the government can force a mind control chip in your head. Then you will say fart left opinions. Okay. I will watch out for it. Philip Albert says, can we get you and 9 other lawyers to watch Legal Eagle's YouTube videos and comment and critique, maybe live, maybe make some jokes at his expense? That gets sketchy, watching whole videos and playing them live, and not everybody wants to engage in that kind of commentary on Legal Eagle. Will I do it though? Stay tuned. Ken says, I think the courtroom should all be recorded for viewing after the fact. However, I don't know if they should all be live. That's reasonable. I think they should be live, but that is also a reasonable sort of opportunity. But then you always got to wonder about editing. 200 Watt Studio says, you think Maria Shriver less smart than the maid? Yes. Emily Wooten says, holy shit, I just got notified. It's 2:22 a.m. Nick, why are you still live? It's not 2:22 where I am. It's 1:41. So it's coming. It's coming. Jacob says most public defenders have about 200 cases on their plate at a time. Yeah, huge amount. Dan Goodwin says Christmas parade massacre in Wisconsin, 40 plus casualties. Yep, I've seen it. Hopefully they find the guy who did it and then, enact justice. Blaine says TJI red SUV guy was a sex offender. Sidebar, banjo equals deliverance. Oh, okay. Gabe the Dizzle says emailed you earlier. DAVRVO says deny attack, reverse victim and accuser. It's MO for narcissists and sociopaths when confronted, like when MAPS accuse their victim of seducing them. We should talk ASAP. SimRig PC27B says if a murder victim was part of the grand jury, would investigators have access to that info? Wait, a murder victim was part of a grand jury. So they were on a grand jury and then they got murdered? Or they were a murder victim who got on a grand jury later? Because that one seems tough. I don't know. Grand juries tend to be private, but privacy rights tend to expire when you're dead. So I don't know. That's a tough question. Cal L says, now that you're a big YouTube star, any chance you'll come back to Kitchener Comic-Con? I would love to, but I don't know if I will be invited or not. I'm not sure. Pyro Amos says, public defender. Kyle would have settled out for 10 years. Public defenders never go to trial. Eddie Oliver says, why couldn't Kyle sue Biden like Paula Jones sued Bill Clinton? He can. His statements were made before he was president, just like Clinton. He was, but he was also on the campaign trail. Paula Jones is a little different than that. But, I mean, Biden does not have immunity from civil suits. Clinton showed that you don't get immunity from civil suits as president. Trump didn't get immunity from being sued by Stormy Daniels. He won that case, but he didn't get immunity on it. So he doesn't have immunity from it. It just, you get a lot of protection for political puffery. Political speech as part of a campaign just is very, very strongly protected. Silver Coins Go Clink Clink says, didn't think you'd be streaming tonight. Are you going to sing to Tim Pool's Chickens? I don't know how much I'd pay for it, but it's a lot. Also, grants on the recent success, Mr. Lawman. Hey, thank you. Smoke Daddy says, I'm graduating from UMass General Crim program with absolutely no plans for what I'm going to do after college. Any suggestions? P.S. Sociology isn't real. Ask a social psychologist instead. I have no idea what to do, man. I'm literature and creative writing, and then I went into banking. So I think it depends on if you're gonna find a job, like, and just push towards doing what you like. Silky Johnson says, Nick, my only complaint about your Kyle streams was that peak viewers, you didn't bring Drex on to German Shepherd Pill the uninitiated. Darth Crypto says, miss you, Nikki. I don't know what to do with myself. I guess I'll just destroy Binger and Krause and ruin their careers. It's a noble endeavor. Keep holding the government's feet to the fire, Darth, and we should talk again sometime, man. You did amazing work, and government needs to be checked. Busy's Crack Pipe says, Nate the lawyer's lamp is not to be trusted. Wolfgang Deo says, Android 12 is poop. Why the hell you not in office? Because I'm in a hotel. I'm in a hotel. I'm on my way to Tim Pool's compound tomorrow. Voice of Free America says, what are your thoughts about Crystal Kaiser? She was 17, shot, killed her sex trafficker to escape and was denied a self-defense case. I don't know that she was fully denied it yet. I think the prosecution has moved to deny it, but I don't know that it's happened. Again, I'm not fully caught up on the facts on that case, but I'm going to be looking into it. Bainling says, what it do, Noseman? Have you arrived at the Beanie compound yet? No, I haven't left Minneapolis yet. I had to come to Minneapolis. When you do, take a selfie with the famed chickens of Chicken City. Overton Windex says, but why did he need an AR? Isn't that the most obvious thing in the world at this point? Yes. We the Rabble says, what about the DOJ supposedly investigating the not guilty verdict? It's possible for the feds to retry Rittenhouse. He cannot be retried. He could be, in theory, tried for federal crimes, but they haven't named any. Feds have already done a lot of investigation on this case, as we found out in this case. They would have to actually name a federal crime for us to evaluate the claim, but double jeopardy does not attach between state and federal governments. So they can maybe, like, if I'm hypothesizing, there might be a federal murder statute that says if you cross state lines with intent to murder someone, then you could be charged. And so maybe that's one, but otherwise, typically what you've got is deprivation of civil rights, which tends to involve a state actor, like a police officer, a government agent, a taxman, something like that. Kyle didn't work for the government, so deprivation of civil rights claims that happened to, like, Chauvin don't translate well to Kyle, unless they could make the crazy theory that he was deputized by the Kenosha City Police Department and that deputization made him a de facto state actor for the purpose. But we're talking a harebrained theory, probably wouldn't hold up, and I don't think the feds would even try it, but we'll see. But they can. I mean, the feds can charge you whether you're guilty or not of anything. I mean, the feds could come to your house tomorrow, arrest you, and charge you with murder, and you'd be the one fighting against their charge. So, you'd probably win pretty quick unless you murdered someone, but they could try. They could try and drag Kyle. I hope they won't. But Jerry Nadler is, one, a fucking moron, and two, a congressman. He doesn't have any authority over the DOJ. He can just make a recommendation. You guys, like, I could make a recommendation to the DOJ. You guys can make a recommendation to the DOJ. They're going to listen to Jerry Nadler's more than ours, but he's still just someone making a recommendation. He doesn't have any authority. Jacob says, would Kyle's case be a good test case to go to the Supreme Court to go after prosecutorial immunity based on all the bad acts they did? No, he won. So it won't. It wouldn't be a good case. Ghost of Recon says, Nick, I started watching your stuff a month or two before this trial. I'm totally hooked. Thank you for all the awesome content. Hey, my pleasure, buddy. Vashon Koog says, great new job on the Rittenhouse trial. I found myself objecting with rules of evidence I'm learning in class. Any chance you need a law school intern? I don't do a lot of law work right now. I pretty much just do the YouTube stuff. So, but if you want to talk about that, I'm always open to a pitch from people. Like if you want to pitch me something, and the worst thing I'm going to do is say, no, you know what, that's not for me, but good luck type thing. So if you have something, pitch it, send me an email, give me a call. Well, if you're going to give me a call, let me know you're going to call me, otherwise I just won't answer. But that's the way I do things. I'm not out looking for much of anything, but if someone says, hey, here's what I can do, here's my idea, I'll hear you out. JTM Sish says, do you think OJ's 33-year sentence for the armed robbery was morally right? No. Obviously, he got away with murder, but do you think two wrongs make a right? He didn't get away with murder. He was not guilty because the state did not do its job. We technically still don't know if OJ murdered them. I mean, it kind of looks like it, but the state didn't do its job. And so he didn't get away with murder. The state didn't convict him of murder. That should be on the state. A lot of the blame gets laid on like Johnny Cochran for his great lawyering, and he did great lawyering, but more blame needs to be put on the state prosecution. If you couldn't lock down that case, what's wrong with you? Johnny's not a wizard. He was good, but he's not a wizard. You can't force people to believe. The state just did a bad job. But no, two wrongs do not make a right. They failed to convict him, and then they tried to make it up on sentencing on the other thing. That's nonsense. Jordan Davis says, your coverage of the trial put the entire corporate press to shame. Kudos. Thank you. X says, can you make a video or talk about in a live stream the self-defense of the Wüstenberg couple? It's a travesty how little coverage they're getting. I have no idea who they are, so I need to know more about it. Do you want to know more? Click. Angry Baneling says, so that's 3 24-hour streams you owe us, right? Don't get ahead of yourself. Bo Jess says, really want to see the Reddit thread you mentioned. What's the sub and the title? The sub is r/vent. I do have it pulled up on my phone here. It's r/vent, and it's the title is Sick of Seeing My Brother's Rapist Being Praised. So that's the title. I'm going to read it in just a second. I think I'm almost caught up on the chats. Axe Lion says, when do we get the 75-hour sleep deprivation psychosis stream? Oh, God. Arlania says, finally got paid. I was glued to your coverage of Kyle's case all week. It kept me and other friends highly informed. Such a service, and consider this my gratuity. God bless Kyle. Inshallah, I hate bingers. Still Sleeping says, black supremacist runs over people in Kenosha. Let's talk. Yeah, again, I'm waiting for some more details, and if it is a black supremacist, we probably will be thin on details for a while. Dapper Dave 2021 says, how is Dominic Black now guilty of giving a gun to minor if the same minor had possession of a gun charge dismissed by the state? He shouldn't be guilty, but he's got to get it dismissed. Jay Sean Lemon Cookie says, long time no chat, Tricky Nicky. Hope you're prepared because I'm going to get that GoFundMe sooner or later. Good luck, you lungless monster. CBDX.com says, daily reminder that we love you. Our products can legally get people high, and that Ricada is a 20% off on our site. That's CBDX.com, guys. And yes, I know I need to respond to you. It's not personal. I've just been running around here. Oh, by the way, guys, tomorrow morning, I will be on O'Connor and Company. I think it's 7:35 a.m. It's a morning talk show in Washington, D.C. I'll be on for about 10 minutes, I think, at 7:35 a.m. to discuss the Rittenhouse case. And if you're in the D.C. area You'll probably hear my voice if you listen to that on like your morning commute. James Valdez says, "Grats on all your success. Never forget who you are and take my shekels." How could I forget who I am? I'm me. Angry Bellsprout says, "Tim Pool thinks anchor baby is a slur, so laugh at him for us." Dash Dash says, "Going on your welcome with Michael Malice win when I'm invited." Kadak1 says, "He made it clear that he will not be taking part of it, that it was the one that started and ending arguments." I don't know what that means. Sorry, I don't know what that's in reference to. NXL Production says, "Haven't seen you since mid-Weeb Wars due to no time, due to job. Glad to see you prospering. God bless, brother. Have free Google opinion money." Oh, thank you. Brandon Blaze says, "I think I heard that you were in Austin, Rackets." No. I'm in central Minnesota normally. Right now, I'm in Minneapolis. If so, visit a Total Wine and pick up a bottle of Peach Shine and Root Beer Shine. Also try a bottle of Texas Mead Works Blackberry Melomel. You will not be disappointed. Ryan Acorn says, "Crystal Kaiser didn't kill her pimp. She killed a John, likely in his sleep from the autopsy, with a shot to the back of the head in his bed. She then stole his car and went back to her sex trafficking pimp Cutthroat." Oh, see there, that's a different question. Daniel Hodge says, "Crystal was an active sex worker. She decided to kill her crypto millionaire John, steal his car. She went there many times, crossing state lines. Everyone involved is probably not clean." See? And that's the problem with the media version of the story, and I've only seen parts of it. That's why I said I'm still learning the facts of that case. Adam Rhodes 536 says, "Where's the fan meetup going down when you get to Maryland?" Look, I don't know how much time I'll have. I don't know, but if I'm going to do one, I'll post it on the YouTube community page. I'll post it on Twitter, and then we'll see. But I got to figure out what the schedule even is. Eddie Oliver says, "The Austin BLM shooting was Army Sergeant Daniel Perry, who shot and killed Garrett Foster. Both were legally armed, but Foster was part of a mob that surrounded Perry's car. This case needs attention." Cardinal says, "Your Honor, the defense would like to ask the court to now refer Jump Kick Man as the Kenosha Kicker." Thank you, Your Honor. Romo Drummer says, Do you what exactly were those laser gun sounds in the courtroom? Some alert. Monkey Man, but I don't know what from. Monkey Man 04 says, "I've been following you since the start of the Vic stuff. Found through a comment on KYM. Oh, know your meme, I guess. Love that you've blown up. Can't wait for 1 million subs." Hey, thank you. Me either. Jeff Moser says, "D2 Barbarian or Sorceress?" I play Sorceress. I play the meme build at Charge Bolt Sorceress because it's fun, but I'll probably switch eventually. Joe Sullivan says, "Dear Bigot, since you're going to be in my neck of the woods, make sure that you find a nice restaurant to have a Maryland crab cake sandwich. Yes, it's delicious. No, you won't regret it." That sounds good. Akikama says, "Cass Michael was banned from your community." What? Really? I'll look into that. Blue-Eyed Roof Curry in the Bay says, "Daryl Brooks, Wisconsin SUV driver. Guess why media is silent?" I would guess it has to do with the race. Spike 11117S says, "Please refer to Jerry Nadler as Nipple Belt Nadler." Nipple Belt. Jay Front says, "His trial has made me want to go to school to become a lawyer at the age of 30. Thank you for the awesome, informative commentary." Hey, that's about when I started. Go get it, buddy, if you want to do it. GG says, "Get a Chris Chan trial stream going even if we can't see the courtroom. Commentary is great, too." We'll see what we can do. Jay says, "Tell us a lawyer joke." Sure. Michael Avenatti. Philip Albert says, "Who would you cast in the Rittenhouse trial movie?" I'm thinking Jonah Hill for Krause. No, Jonah Hill lost too much weight to be Krause. You'd have to cast Tess Holliday as Krause. And the guy who played Vincini in Princess Bride for the judge, yeah, he's probably actually looks a lot like him now. Okay. Mike Palden says, "Is it true the Rittenhouse case that if the state had pursued second-degree murder charges, then self-defense would not have been a valid defense?" Self-defense is always a valid defense to a murder charge. Like the state can't do a crazy charging thing to eliminate self-defense. So no, I don't know where that's coming from, but justifiable self-defense is not, they can't like, but when we charge you this way, you don't get it. If it's justifiable self-defense, it's justifiable self-defense. One law student says, Binger, Your Honor, it's time to think like a commie felon that's been disarmed. I object. This is not legal. This is a new low, Your Honor. Distorted 121 says, it's been an amazing couple of weeks. So glad to be along for the ride. It's hilarious to watch the mainstream media drone the words state lines. God bless, brother. Hey, God bless you. Dabber Wolf says, you and Actual Justice Warrior, as well as Short Fat Otaku, should actually do a live stream together. Also, I'm now more confident you snort no sugar. What, like cocaine? No, thanks. I don't snort things. That's gross. If you snort things, your nose shrinks. Gabe the Dizzle says, watch what you say around Tim, one of the many things I'd like to discuss with you. Dapper Dave says, please stay on top of the MSNBC producer doxing and intimidating jurors. If he is charged, request to be televised. Don't let it go by the wayside. 43J8321 says, Bunger should never see a courtroom again. I agree. Oh my gosh, I caught up. I caught up. Here we go. So here's that Reddit thread. Reddit post. Sick of seeing my brother's rapist being praised. I'm not going to talk about the Rittenhouse case verdict or my opinion on it, but instead, I want to reflect on the insane amount of people praising Rosenbaum, including celebrities. In the early 2000s, my younger brother was sexually abused with, I think, about a dozen other kids by Rosenbaum. The court cases are sealed because we were minors, so I won't be providing the names of any of them or the exact charges. He and every other victim deserves privacy. We already had batshit crazy conservatives try to unseal the case so they could tout around the victim's stories as a gotcha moment. Anyways, the fucker pled out of like 11 counts of child rape. There were more accusations. They just never made it to court and only got like 10 years. Ended up only being 8. My brother and I are late 20s/early 30s now, and he has mostly moved on, but up until he was 14, he would cry almost every night and ask to sleep in the same bed as me or my sister or our mom. I can only imagine what the other victims are going through. Now somehow he made his way to Kenosha and was shot dead. Whatever, couldn't care less. Also couldn't care less about the trial or the verdict of Kyle. What gets me is all these fucking celebrities calling him cutesy fucking nicknames and talking like him like he was such a great human being. R.I.P. Joseph. Such a kind soul. He didn't deserve this. Pedro Pascal is a good actor, but somehow saw fit to call this POS a hero. What finally made me lose it was Mark Ruffalo's Rip Jojo. What the whole fuck? Literally pet naming him. I'm so fucking angry. This man was a terror who deserved hell 20 years ago, and major celebrities are making him to be a martyr. My brother is acting like he's okay through this whole thing, and he has been on a media blackout. I, on the other hand, have been listening since day one, and I'm so sick of people defending this pedophile. I'm so goddamn disappointed in our politicians and celebrities and athletes who have all acted like he was a hero. Had to get that off my chest. Thanks. That's allegedly from a brother of one of the victims of Joseph Rosenbaum. And I mean, the fact that they're doing this, right? That they've just tried to ignore his past entirely. Again, you said a racist joke 10 years ago. You can't work ever again in your industry. This guy raped a bunch of children. And it's like, oh, poor Jojo, the hero. A troubled soul. But he was trying with a heart of gold, right? Platinum even. Insanity. Christopher says, was Binger that chubby one? Or the one pointing a gun at the jury with his finger on the trigger? He was the gun-holding one. Kraus was the chubby one. Gosh, I cannot believe that shit. Bro, people still think he was black. That's true. They do. Well, hey, guys. It is 2 o'clock. I've read all the super chats. We talked about some of these things, and I really wanted to talk about that article. I really wanted to talk about, just the stuff coming up over the next couple weeks. Daytime show starts Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, we've got, I've got the O'Connor and Company radio show. And then tomorrow evening, I think night, will be Tim Pool's show. So I hope to see you guys there. and then I'll do the show, and then I head back on Tuesday. So I won't have a daytime show on Tuesday. Nighttime show on Tuesday is very possible. Um, It'll all depend on everything, but I'll keep posted. Best way to follow along with what's going on is to actually follow me for free on Locals, recadalaw.locals.com. That link's in the description of this video, I think, even though the description of this video is going to look kind of, it's going to have like some placeholders because I didn't actually update it. But you can find that link there. That is the best place to get video updates on stuff. You can join it for free. You don't have to pay anything unless you want to do more. But if you just want those notifications, come check out the Locals community. It's a really cool website, and they are pro free speech. They don't ban people for ideas, for opinions, for meany words or anything like that. Spicy memes, talks about various pandemics, talks about various elections. All that's actually allowed on Locals, even if it's not always allowed on places like YouTube. So if you want to follow me to get the updates, follow me over on Locals. I'm trying to build that community up so that people always will have a place in case, YouTube decides to randomly shut down the channel, which they gave a little warning shot on that one Kyle trial stream, and I've gotten some strikes over the past year that I think are completely unjustified. So if you always want to know what I'm up to, Locals is the place. And then again, if you want to participate more in the community, you're welcome to, but go get those notifications from there because it's great to follow along. But I will be posting on Locals if I do any meetup. I will also try and post on Twitter and the YouTube community tab just to be thorough. But I don't know what the schedule is going to be like tomorrow, and I know I cannot be late to the compound. So we'll figure it all out. Thank you so much, guys. Let me read. There's another chat that came in. Tyler Ventura says, "You think it's possible the Rittenhouse case becomes a movie? Would Hollywood write it even though it was a big L for them?" It's possible, but maybe it's a movie done by Daily Wire. I don't know. Wolfgang Deo says, "Have fun in Tim's RV, lol." I'm not going to be in the RV, I don't think. I think he's going to be back at his studio. So I think that's where we're going to be. So, all right, guys. I'm going to go get ready to go to sleep so I can be up for this interview in 6 hours. And less than 6 hours. And then we'll see you soon. Azrael Bain says, "You and the Council of Lawyers should try to get Joe Exotic out. Put that bitch Carol Baskins behind bars. That'd be great." All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming out to this impromptu stream. We'll see you soon. Look, if I can do some travel streaming while I'm in DC or whatever, I'll also do that. So keep your eyes peeled. I might have I'm going to go walk and do this thing or whatever, stream. But we'll see. Again, I don't know what, I can't play any outros. I'm not on that software. So see you guys soon. Peace. Peace.